Hello everyone. In one of my previous videos, I have explained that as a security best practices, we need to make sure MFA is enabled for root user. But it's not only true for root user, we need to make sure every single user within an AWS account must have MFA enabled. And we can verify that as well, who has enabled MFA and who hasn't. And to verify that, what we can do, we can go to IAM dashboard, and from IAM dashboard in the left navigation bar, we can see something called users. So let's go to the users page, and in the user page, I can see all the users that have been created, right? And I can verify from here who has enabled MFA and who hasn't. To do that, I can see there is a little gear button. So let's click on the little gear button, and we can see there are a bunch of columns that are either visible or hidden. And the column I'm targeting is this one, MFA. So we need to make sure this MFA column is visible. So let's turn it on. And also, let's say we need to make sure this password H column is also visible. And with password H column, we can verify when the password has been last changed for each user. All right. So there are many columns. You can make them either visible or hidden. All right. So that's what I want for this video now. I need to make sure only this MFA and password H column are visible. And then once I'm happy with that, I can click confirm button, and shortly I can see two additional columns are visible now, which is MFA and password H. And if we look at MFA, we can see none for each users. So what does it mean? It means none of these users enabled MFA yet. And from password H column, we can verify when the password was last changed. All right. But for this video, my concern is this MFA column, right? So I can say none of my users have enabled MFA yet. So right now it seems still a soft requirement. So you can either keep your MFA enabled or disable. It's still a soft requirement. But if we want, we can make sure every user has turned on their MFA device, right? And how we can do that? We can create a policy, right? If I go to the policy page and if I click on create policy, I can create a policy, and that policy will tell if a user tries to do some actions within AWS, and if that user doesn't have MFA enabled, then the action will be denied. And we need to create a policy for that. And in the policy creation page, if I go to the JSON tab, and I have already copied the policy that I want to implement, I just paste it here. So this is the policy I want to implement. And what this policy does, if a user tries to perform any kind of actions for any users, and if that user doesn't have MFA enabled, then the action will be denied. All right. So this is the policy I want to make sure that is attached to every groups for every users. All right. So I will create a policy for that, and let's give a name to this policy. Let's say MFA policy, and I leave description as empty. And once I'm happy with everything, I will create the policy. All right. So policy has been created, and then what I will do, I will attach that policy to the group. So if I go to groups, and let's say I have only one groups right now, which is administrator. If I click on that administrator group, and from here, if I go to permission tab, and in permission tab, I can attach the policy that I have just created, which is MFA policy. And I will attach this policy to that group. So what does it mean? Whoever belongs to this administrator group, they will inherit this policy. That means those users within this group will not be able to perform any action unless they have enabled MFA on their devices. All right. So that's how we can make sure every user's account are secure and protected. So that's all. Thank you.